She came out and tested for her general. I'm going to pick on you, Don. We had a new person who showed up, made his first contacts there. First contact on his radio was Belize. I think that's pretty impressive for the first contact ever out there, making it to Belize. For those of you who know Cody, I'm not sure where he's at tonight. He operated for hours having a blast. He probably logged at least 50 contacts out there. His wife logged contacts. To the best of my knowledge, everybody who got on the radio to try logged contacts. The bands worked pretty good for us. The chili on Saturday night some of it was very spicy, but it was good. One of our award winners is sitting right back here. A few people got a fancy little plaque. Thank you, everybody that came. It was, like I said, I think it was our best one ever. We got all of the objectives. The only one we missed is we did not get the bulletin. And I think our problem is nobody was smart enough to set an alarm clock to know when to listen for the bulletin. So all of us that were out there after the fact are kind of, when's the bulletin coming through? Oh, it was 2 hours ago. So with that said, our next event is going to be what I will call an informal fox hunt on the 22nd. I don't know more details. The guy who's going to run it isn't here. And when I say informal, those of you who've done most of the fox hunts we do, we usually end up with a nice potluck or something. Since it's going to be in February, we have no idea what the weather's going to be like. So the idea is you'll find the fox, take a picture of it, send it to us so we can keep track of who's found it and who hasn't. And then after the fact, the person who's running it is planning on doing a workshop for anybody who's interested. I wish I had more details. I just know it's going to be the 22nd of February. Our next big Get on the Air event is going to be for the Idaho QSO party. 8th and 9th? 8th and 9th of March. We're going to set up at the Wilson Creek Trailhead, which is over off of Highway 78, not too far. It's about, from here, it's what, 45, 50 minutes probably? Yeah, out near Givens Hot Springs. It is in the Hard Trigger Wildlife Management Area, so it is a POTA entity as well as the Idaho QSO party, which being inside a POTA place guarantees contacts because other people can spot us even if the event doesn't allow us to spot ourselves. And I can't remember from the Idaho QSO party if we can spot ourselves or not. No, and most of them you can't. Like I said, I just can't remember. But if anybody who works us on POTA spots us on the POTA website, that's completely legal for any of the rules. But it should be a lot of fun. Winter Field Day was fun. Weather will probably be similar. So for anybody who doesn't know where the Wilson Creek Trailhead is, other than it's out near Givens, it's got a big gravel parking lot, which is probably, how big is it out there, Steve? Football field sized? Like football field sized with a vault toilet, so there's plenty of room for everybody to come out. We can camp out there, anybody who wants to. Or oh yeah, easy, if not triple. So plenty of room, should be a lot of fun. What else do I need to talk about? You're good at keeping me on track. I don't know if they're doing all of them. Are they doing okay? Because Kelly hadn't said anything to me. He was just talking to people. Okay. Okay. Like I said, I hadn't talked to Kelly about it. So there'll be some special event stations for it that we can work. For those of you who don't know, the goal for stations in Idaho is to work all of the states and DX. The goal for people outside of Idaho is to work every county in Idaho. So that's the goal. That's where you get the multipliers. It's usually a fun time. Lots of people like to work Idaho because there's not a lot of active hams, especially outside of this group. maybe they'll get somebody to activate every county this year. Years past, they've always had multiple counties that did not have activations. So for this year, there's I think 5 counties that if we went and activated those, it's like a 1,500 point bonus. But none of them are within a few hours of here. The best we could do would be a 500 point bonus in Elmore County. And we couldn't find any good spots on this side of Elmore County to set up that weren't, way south, and this is a lot closer. So we're going to do Owyhee County this year. What else do I have? I can't think of much of anything, but our presenter just walked out the door. I guess we made him a little nervous. Or bored him. That's probably more likely. Yes. I don't have a place yet. We're still working. We are really hoping for a swap meet in April. We're just trying to find a big enough location. If anybody's got any good ideas, please let me know. With that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Mr. John, KG7KMV, who's going to talk about what he's learned about Allstar, which is more than I could even think about knowing.
I'm very quiet. All right, I'll try to be loud, but I know I'm quiet. So I did not even know about Allstar before Christmas. I'd heard the name maybe, and I said, well, that's interesting. I've got some time over Christmas break. Let me figure out what this is. Maybe it'll help serve some purpose for me. So this is my journey into Allstar. So it's a voice over IP. I don't like hearing myself behind me. It's a voice over IP technology. So what that means is it digitizes your voice and turns it into a data packet that the internet understands. And it uses a software called Asterix, which I can never pronounce correctly, which is a telephone exchange system. You can use it in a business to connect like business desk phones together and run your own little phone system. That's the backbone of Allstar. And since most radios don't have all the buttons that a telephone does, they set up where it can listen to DTMF commands and operate the system that way. And so today, I'll teach you a little bit about what I know. Ham VoIP is another, it's based on Allstar. They kind of forked off and then closed their source. So I won't talk about them, but it's basically the same thing. So the situation, right? You want to have a goal, something you're trying to solve so that you learn how to do that. It helps you move through a process. Here, this was my situation. I know of 3 lower level repeater sites. We want to link them together. They do have an Arden mesh network between the sites. I've got high-speed data. Let's see if we can use it. A couple sites have Arcom repeater controllers. One site it's a Yaesu DR2X, so it's all self-contained. And we'll call them, those 3 sites, we'll call it Lower Squaw Butte, Hat Butte, and Storehouse, just to keep those names easy. All right, so like I said, my objectives here were to leverage the high-speed data connection that we've established between these locations, learn something, because I don't know anything about Allstar. And yeah, I'm computery. I sit at a desk all day and look at a screen, so I might as well, put that into amateur radio somehow. And then maybe this helps somebody else. Maybe it builds a links between these sites that helps out the community somehow. I like that. It makes me feel good. All right, so, well, why not just use UHF linking? Because, that's been around forever. To do that, you got to buy another radio. You got to set up your antenna, your feed line, all of that equipment needs to go in. You've got to figure out your frequency coordination between the 2 sites. You've got to have a controller that can pass the data to the link radios, and well, maybe you need to disable it, so you got to put all that in. Well, Allstar Link also has requirements. You need a little computer, which is going to require some kind of power. You got to maintain software. There's some configuration learning curve to setting up an Allstar node. A lot of files you've got to dig through and set things in. You do need a little bit of a speed on your data connection, but it's not a lot. But once it's set up, an Allstar node generally can be linked with any other public Allstar node, not just your one UHF link here to here, but we can connect to any other state, any other country, anywhere the internet goes, or anywhere you build out your private network. We can talk about dongles. We got a lot of dongles in radio. So these are just a few examples that I found doing a quick search. I have personal experience with 3 of these, actually. The top one there is Repeater Builder Rim Lite. It's about 50, 60 bucks, and they're pretty nice. It just plugs right into the back of a radio or the Arcom. They've already done the pinout. You don't have to have a special cable. You just plug it in, and then it's got a USB connector. A little bit flimsy, in my opinion, and there's no shielding around it. You know, you might pick up a little hum, perhaps, if there's a lot of RFI in your area. The next one down is from Masters Communication. I've set up 2 of those with you can get them in plastic or metal enclosures. Those are nice. It comes as a kit. You got to put it together yourself. But those are very nice. No experience with the DMK URI. Looks really expensive, and you still have to build your own cable. Or you can build your own. It's based on this little sound card, this little USB to audio converter. In fact, there's one of those in here. And this works as a whole dongle with headphone and microphone built in. So that makes it really easy. But obviously there's no DTMF there, so you can't control that one directly. But really what it all kind of keys off of this one particular USB audio chip, which not only has sound in and sound out, but it has some general purpose input-output pins that we can use for a PTT and COS, which is carrier operated switch that says, hey, there's something here, right? The radio has detected a signal. If you're familiar with how repeaters work, when you break the squelch and you have the PL tone, you can flip this signal and say, yeah, I'm receiving a valid signal, and that we'll call it COS, COS. So you can put those into this particular chip. You will also need a lightweight computer. It does not take very much. This little box right here has a Raspberry Pi 02 in it, as well as some other parts. So I considered Raspberry Pi. I've got a lot of Raspberry Pis, and they're very popular. But as I've used them, I've had micro SD cards fail, and I'm not so impressed with them anymore. You have to buy them, and you got to buy the heatsink, and you got to buy a case to put it in, and some kind of power supply. I don't like using USB ports. So I checked out some other options, and I found these little tiny Dell computers. Here's one right here. It's about the same power as a Raspberry Pi 4, and it's a very low power draw, but it's a complete unit. Has the case, and it has an eMMC memory, not a micro SD. So it's certified as a complete PC. And I love them so much, I went to eBay and bought 5 for $100 bucks. So $20 a pop is a lot cheaper than a Raspberry Pi. Yeah.
One thing you do have to watch on the Ys there is there are 2 variants, one that uses a 5-volt power supply and one that uses a 12-volt power supply.
Oh.
And they switch midway. So
You know, I did not know that, but I will say the ones that I have say 5 volts, and I accidentally plugged one into a 12 volt, and it seemed okay. It, yeah, that's good to know. Watch out for that. So I decided to go with the Dell. So to install Allstar Link, how would you do this? It's really easy. The developers of Allstar Link have done a fantastic job of making this as user-friendly as they can. If you're doing it on a Pi, you download their image, you put it onto an SD card, and you plug it in. It's installed, their image is ready to go, and you connect to it, and then do some software configuration, and that's it. It's almost the same on any other PC, any other regular computer type thing. You install Linux, you add their repository, and you say install it, and it does, and then you're done, and then you can go do the configurations. So I really want to, the ASL3 team has done a good job of making this accessible. So once it's installed, the configuration, a lot of it is still on a text-based menu. So you do have to get into a command line, which they make easy, and I do have a demo for that. And you can go through and do all the configuration there, but it's still menu-driven, so it's not hard. So almost everything can be done through the menu system here. You go, yep, just arrow keys up and down, hit enter. You go pick what you need. Yeah, the individual node setting, that's it. That's how you set up your node. You put in your node number, which you can get from their website if you're going onto a public, putting out a public node. Put in your call sign, and this is the actual configuration of my home node, which does not have any RF connected to it. The purpose of this home node, it's a hub, is to allow connections in and out of it. And we use it as a gateway in and out of the internet between our private nodes, which are the Arden mesh, and the internet, which is publicly accessible. We don't want everything internet facing, so we have one node that is that gateway in and out. So since the back end of the software is based on a telephone exchange software, you can use regular phones. So I've brought one here, this desk phone. I didn't even check to see if it registered. It looks like it did. You can set up a SIP soft phone on mobile devices. And as long as you are connected to the same network, you can call just like, it's like a telephone. You make a phone call. And since there's no PTT, right, they set up a DTMF command for it. *99 puts you on the hook. You hit pound and it takes you off, which can be a little cumbersome perhaps. The other way to do it is turn on Vox in the software, in the Allstar software, and then use mute on your phone. Unmute, talk, hit mute. A little easier. All right, so as I was setting this up, and I didn't have any Allstar hardware, right? I set up my hub node. So then I would set up on my phone and call my hub. And then it IDs, I know I'm connected, and then I can tell it to connect to other nodes out on the internet. And there's some basic DTMF commands. I've got a cheat card because I forget them all the time. But there's basic DTMF commands, *1, *2, *3, that tell your Allstar node to do something, to connect, to disconnect, to tell you what its status is, right? So I tested it out, and it worked. All right, so I've been talking about public and private nodes. Well, what would be the difference? So a public node will connect through the internet to the Allstar Link servers. They serve actually as like a domain name service. So once you connect there, then they know where you are at. So if someone else wants to connect to you, they don't need to know your IP address, they need your node number. And it goes to their website, their servers, looks up your node number, and then they tell, they tell the other person how to connect to you. Because if we don't route through their server, it's direct from their node to your node. So there needs to be some communication on how to do that. Private nodes, which is what we're setting up on our Arden mesh network, are not accessible to the internet. And I must manually tell each one where the other nodes are located on the network. Hey, how do I talk to that one? How do I talk to that one? I have to put in the addresses of specifically how to get there. Otherwise, they don't know because they're not talking to this master list. They also have security, some security available, such that you can only allow certain nodes to connect to yours. You could put it up on the internet and allow anybody to connect to your node, or you could say, you know what, I want to restrict this to only nodes that I specify. Or maybe you had a bad actor show up a few times and you found out what their node number was, you can block just specifically them. So you do have some control there. So Almon 3 is an additional software, but this is the software that shows you the status of your node. And I actually have this one on the big screenshot is configured to show all of the nodes together in one website. So if you see at the top, that's my home hub node. The next one down would be the Squaw Butte node and the Hat Butte, and you'll see most of them don't have any connections. Oh, but this one does. The Storehouse repeater is linked to the Storehouse UHF link. We're using Allstar as the local repeater controller, sort of. It's not doing the IDing, right? So we're letting the DR2X be a repeater, but we're taking the audio out, digitizing it, going through Allstar. It's a little perhaps convoluted, but we digitize it, and then we pop it back out to analog into a UHF radio. Well, we did not need to buy another repeater controller to link those together. It's just going through Allstar. But it's all local on one computer, or one little computer. So it's not passing over any networks or anything. But we can turn it on and off just by clicking on the little icon that says link or disconnect. So we can control that link via the website. So the website, this one website is running on my home server, but a very similar one is running on the mini computer that's actually on that site. So you can log into it here or there and do the controls, which is password protected, by the way. All right, so there's kind of a diagram of what I ended up with. So I have my hub. So there's actually a little Dell at each location, but my hub does not have any audio dongles. Squaw Butte, we need to finish installing it, but it will be there. And Hat Butte is installed. The Storehouse location is installed. And so the lines are supposed to show that you can connect from any one location to any other location if we needed to build links. With the UHF, which is also in place, you can connect from Squaw Butte to Hat Butte and from Hat Butte to Storehouse, but you cannot connect from Squaw Butte to Storehouse using the UHF because those links don't exist. That's hardware that's not installed. But with Arden, it's all software controlled, so we can do that. So there's benefits and drawbacks, right? There's always a trade-off either way you go. So now I'm a user sitting at home. That was, my focus was on how do I connect repeaters together, not how do I use it, how do I get in there as a person sitting at home. There's a few options. So you can run an application on your computer that would turn your computer into a node. Or there's even some software you run and it lets you connect into a node like you were remote, right? You'd use your speaker and microphone there. You can use an RF hotspot like this top image or like this one down here, right? They have little antenna. It's a little 1 watt UHF radio and connects to an Allstar node running on like a Raspberry Pi or whatever else you can connect it up to. I do have one right here. I bought that one. That's not the official Sherry. It's a knockoff, but it was about 50 bucks. And you plug it into a Raspberry Pi 3, plug in the SD card, and away you go. So what that is going to do is now I can use whatever UHF radio. Well, I got the UHF version. They do have them available in VHF, 2 meters or 70 centimeters, right? So now I can connect from here, RF into that digitizes it, and then it's into Allstar. But that gives me the DTMF keypad here as well. So it's not real powerful. This would be something you use at home. Another option is to use an enabled repeater or someone else's hotspot. There are a few. The map down here shows the Treasure Valley area. Each of those little red pins is an Allstar node. They show up on the map. There's more that aren't registered, but those are the ones that are registered. So you can look them up. It'll tell you what frequency they're listening on. You set your mobile radio or whatever to that frequency, and then you can send your DTMF commands to that node. Someone's made it available, and then you're into the network. One other option that I don't think I put up here. So I did put a picture of this thing. So how do you do PTT? Well, however it worked out, the volume down button is the same pin on the chip that they use for PTT. So clicking the volume down is push to talk. It just worked out nice that way. Then the one other that's not up there, this box. This is a radioless node. So it has a microphone connector. I found a microphone that does DTMF in the microphone. It's got a Raspberry Pi Zero W in there with the Wi-Fi disabled. I didn't think about it, but I put it inside a metal enclosure, which would have blocked the Wi-Fi anyway. I attached a USB to Ethernet adapter that had some like 3 extra USB ports on it, and then I attached to that one of the USB sound cards, little sound card dongle. So now I had Ethernet, I've got the computer, I've got the sound card, and then I got a little audio amplifier to put in there and a speaker. So it's got everything in one little box, and there's no RF. So my thoughts on amateur radio is it should include RF. So that kind of goes outside my morals a little bit, but I'll let it slide because it was fun to build. Okay, oh, that would be almost the end of it here. So demo time. Hopefully it works. It all worked yesterday at home, so we'll see if it works here. It's all running through a hotspot on my phone. Hopefully that's good enough. So just to lay out the data path for you. My phone's running a hotspot, right? So it's connected to the internet. It's sharing Wi-Fi to this white box on top. The white box is an Arden router. So it is connected back to my home and joined into the Arden mesh, which gives me access to all the servers and all the nodes on our Arden mesh. The radioless node is connected to the router. The phone's connected to the router. And the Sherry is also connected to the router. So all of those nodes should be available to the Arden mesh. That all makes sense? All right. Everyone's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, yeah, so partly Arden, partly not. I'll show a few things here. Let's go through. So this is the Allstar Link website on the internet. It's showing my home node is the top one. It's registered. That means my node has contacted their server and we've got good connection there. The homebrew radioless node right here has contacted their servers and got connected. It's good. The Raspberry Pi Sherry has not, and I'm not sure why right now. I'll try rebooting it while I do something else. Yeah, if I were to turn it off, I think it might take 10, 20 seconds or so, and then it actually changes on the website. So you get pretty live feedback. They have something up there that I have not explored yet, which is the web transceiver. I think they've got a web interface. You can go to their website, look up any node, and connect to it through your computer and operate. I haven't tried it out. I didn't get to it. I just heard the Sherry IDing. All right, so those not familiar, this is what an Arden node looks like. Not really important right now, but it does show that I'm connected back to my home node and that it is giving IP addresses to all this equipment. All right, this one is the radioless node right here. So that's the website running on the Raspberry Pi inside the box. It has no connections. Well, let's make a connection. I think I have to log in. So while there is a login, it is not encrypted. And I just want to make that point because over the Arden Mesh network, because it uses amateur radio frequencies, the same rules apply. You're not allowed to encrypt data or hide its meaning. You can still log in, just the data stream's not encrypted. So this is how easy it is to make a link. I want to connect to, let's say, you know what, let's make it fun. They have a fun list that tells you who is actively using Allstar. So let's go, yeah, I'm already looking at that. Any preferences? Who? Which one is that? 2199 1. We'll see if there's good enough data connection to get there. 2199, was that it? Oop. Melbourne? Oh, it changed. This site refreshes and you lose your number. That's 43768. All right. Now, I will admit that there is something wrong with my radioless node. It's got a lot of extra hum in it. Oh, well, that didn't work. Let's try. And it doesn't tell you why it failed. Let's try Texas. 55436. Nope. All right. Live demo failing. You know what I know will work is six three four 90. Okay, maybe not. All right, that's going great. Nope. All right, well, that is not working at all. All right, so this web page, we'll just move right on. This web page is my home hub node, and it represents everything else. So these two are not, I can't reach them. Network is down. I know that our network is down to Squaw Butte. We're missing a link because we need someone in Emmett to put something up for us. But we can see that the storehouse repeater UHF link is connected to the storehouse repeater itself. My hub node is also connected up there, so between the two. So if I can establish a connection to my hub, then we would be able to use that repeater. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so if you install the Allstar Link Raspberry Pi image, this is the web page that it provides, which is actually very nice. They give you this web admin portal, which is a way to administer the Raspberry Pi system itself. They give you a web-based command line, so you don't even have to use SSH or anything. You don't have to plug in a keyboard and a mouse and none of that. You can do it all through their website. It checks for software updates, gives you everything you need to know about that. But what we're going to do is go into its Allmon monitor and see if it will do anything for us. Oh yeah, I gotta log in first. Okay, so this website that we're looking at is running on this Raspberry Pi connected up to this Sherry device. Okay, so the radio, I have it set to the frequency. The little 1 watt radio that's in there is configurable. It's not easy. I'd love for them to put together a web interface for it, but they're not there yet. So I have it configured to a UHF frequency that this radio is listening to. So I'll turn it up so we can hear it, so it can tell us it failed too. So let's try my home node, which was, if I remember, 634,930. Oh yeah. Awesome. Okay, so, yep, I'm going to blame the internet. So that one's not working, that one's not working. You know what else I have? I have an app on my phone that is connected to my home node, and I know that it is, but it's not very loud. So let me connect it. Put the microphone
Connected to node 6349330.
There it is. So my phone shows up here, Allstar telephone portal user, KG7KMVP. So now this is connected to that. It's also, because of the other link, 4933, connected to the storehouse repeater. If we were able to get, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So I've got a PTT button on here. KG7KMV, testing, 1, 2, 3. You see all the links lit up red?
Try it again. I'm going to open 12 all the way. I don't know if
Yeah, problem is, so that repeater is what, about 5 miles east of here? Yeah, it's not very far, but we're inside a building that is wreaking havoc on my data connection even. But you can see I can connect to there. The possibilities are almost limitless, right? Establishing the connections and then hopping in and out and every which way. So let's do something else then. Let's disconnect the repeater. I got to sign in here. So disconnect that, execute. What? Oh, okay. Let me reconnect it then. All right, so Kim's going to go outside, and hopefully with his HT, he can hit the repeater. I reestablished the link back to the storehouse repeater, and that should relay again into my phone. So we'll just listen to the audio here. It's up about 50 feet above ground level. So easy linking. One time I wish that I had it. I was supposed to run a net. I was supposed to be net control. And I was out of state on a business trip. If there was an Allstar connection, I could have run it from there, just like I was here. It would pop out around here for everybody local. Yeah, a lot of flexibility. It's not going to be. It's not a. This is the solution that solves all your problems. It solves some problems in a different way. He didn't. Yeah, it creates plenty of problems, right? He said he could not hear us. We heard you.
Did you? Okay.
It was pretty staticky.
Yeah, I could not hear anything coming back from the repeater.
Okay. So what I wanted to do. Oh, let's see. Did this connect? This is some software that you can run on your desktop, and I didn't test this. It worked at one time, but why not? Yeah. Nope, it didn't connect. But this is basically the same thing as what I'm running on my phone. It connects to the node. All right, so I wanted to try one more time to connect. I like the Washington one if it pops up. This one's real big. 500, 692. Let's disconnect the repeater and then connect. 500, whoa, 492. Was that it? 692? Okay. We'll try that.
And then we'll pick up
now we're
the
listening
Mesa,
to
Arizona station.
50062 connected to node 63.
I wish she talked a little
Hi,
faster.
this is John again, K5ORD. I'm back on Echo Link. I just got a quick question for Top or maybe you, Lee. What time is that?
That is the repeater in Mansfield, Texas. And I think, so my phone is connected to my home node, and my home node is connected to their repeater in Texas.
3 p.m. after the 2-meter simplex net.
Yeah. So, yeah, I pull this up, I hit connect, it links to my home node, and then from there I would tell my home node to connect to the repeater. Yeah, so this, from here, this is cellular data. Yeah. You could. This particular app, you have to be registered on there, so they would have to issue me a login to their node. So it's a lot easier to build your own, give yourself a login, and then jump from there. So it's not actually an Allstar node in and of itself. It's a client, yes. But the audio quality, I'm impressed with.
R5 Plus. Got a little bit more power to it. And in my car, I got a tri.
What was that? Yeah. I have no idea. But if we look at some of these bigger ones over here, well, this guy's got, well, look at 51018 in California. Yeah, I don't know what the limit is, but you can connect a lot. Yeah. It's actually a data connection. So it's not a phone call, it's a data connection. Yeah. Yeah.
I will say this, like the number of nodes on a single Allstar network. I know there's one network that has, in this area, 4 nodes. I think there's 5 in Portland, 3 in Seattle, 30 in California, a half a dozen in Nevada, half a dozen in Arizona, and probably 50 in Texas. That's always connected to this one Allstar network all the time. So I would say that the limit is at least 255 nodes, if not much higher than that. Depends upon the network. Yeah. It depends upon your internet.
So testing with our Arden mesh, latency was noticeable. It would cut off the first second or so. But as I listen to other nodes, it seems to be very low. So if you have a real fast connection with low ping time, low latency, it's very fast. Yeah.
Lots of commercial enterprises use voice over IP telephone systems over the internet, and you'd never know it's not hardwired.
Right.
This is the same technology that they're using. As a matter of fact, like that phone could be one that you would buy from Cisco Systems to connect into your business.
In fact, I was going to try to connect the phone in. Let's get one more failure on the book. No. Oh, okay. So I dialed my node's number. The phone, the desk phone with the handset. So that was like making a telephone call. I could pick it up, hit star 99, and talk to them on their repeater. Or I could call to, anyway. You can set up multiple phones and dial between the telephones, and you'd have a full duplex connection between telephones. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to take that off. All right. Any questions here? This is just on speakerphone. Any other questions about Allstar? So this is all stuff I learned in the last month and a half. What? Occupation, technical. Yeah. Yeah, so we do engineering technical support for software. I'm familiar with this. Yeah, I've been running Linux for a long time, so I'm familiar with that. But you don't have to be. They do try to make it as easy as they can. Yeah. Great. So D-Star and Fusion are encoding algorithms. It's a way of encoding into digital. And that's pretty much only over RF. They do have their own ways of, it's a codec, yeah. So it's a way of turning audio into a digital signal. And they're proprietary. So Allstar uses quite a number of different codecs. All kinds, some that were actually used in the cell phone industry for 2G cell phones used some of the same codecs that they use here. These are in use in office buildings. But one more, it was the difference between Allstar and Echolink. I'm not sure. I know that they're different, but I don't know what the differences are. There is a way to connect a node and make it also connect to Echolink. But I haven't looked into that. Yeah. 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 From the little I do know, is Echolink is a little more restricted in what you can do, where Allstar is like, it's based on open source software, do whatever you want with it, none of it's proprietary. Yeah, any number of things. So price, this was about $100. I put this together for about $100, just buying the parts and wiring them up. You can get these things used for $20. That just can't give you an idea of price to get into it. In fact, if you want to buy that, I'd love to get it off my hands.
This might get into the weeds a little bit, but when you're talking voice over IP, how are you getting your IP addressing? Are you statically assigning it, or does it have its own DHCP server setting, or is it all coming from the Allstar site?
So if you're on going public, then they do want you to forward a port in from your router into your Allstar node so that you can receive connections. You don't have to do that if you're only linking out. But yes, once you talk to their server, They get your node, they connect your node number with your IP address. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
What's like the etiquette for, like if I was at home and I wanted to know if like, oh, can I connect this repeater to some net in Texas?
I don't know. Because you're right. I could take my little hub node here. It's connected to Texas. I could now link it to any other repeater, any other number of repeaters, and they would all be linked together, and that would be a big fat mess. I'm not going to try it. That would be bad etiquette. But I don't know that there's any.
If I remember reading through it before, most repeater owners say no problem, your node connecting, but don't connect another repeater without the two repeater owners communicating and knowing about it.
A gentleman's agreement, I suppose. Yeah, don't be a lid. Anything else we can conclude? Oh, another question. What do you mean by data? So that's interesting. There is a way, and I have not dug into the weeds, but there is a way to send text messages through this system. Because they show up on my phone, my node actually sends out messages, hey, this node's now connected. And it shows up. But not all systems are capable of showing those messages or sending them. So there's a way of sending text messages. I don't know about sending data files, not through Allstar, but through Arden, absolutely. There's ways to send data. Yes?
The desk phone, what did you have to set on the desk phone to get it connected to your node?
So my node is running as a PBX, if you know what that is, a telephone exchange system. And I go in the config file and said, well, extension 1000 is going to have this username and this password, and I want it to be able to connect to other nodes. And then I go to the desk phone, and I set its username and password and the extension, and give it the address of my node as the exchange, and it connects, registers, and is ready to go. So there's a manual registration process there.
See, to me, that's one of the nice things about Allstar is it's running the asterisk open source PDF software. So anything that will work on a SIP PDF-based system can connect to an Allstar server and be part of the RF network.
Something I really want to show off with that is for emergency management. It's one thing to set a radio in front of an emergency person and say, here you go, wait after you push the button and listen for traffic, you're simplex only, and all that, we know all that because we use it. Maybe they don't. But if you put them in front of a desk phone and say, here's your phone numbers, if you want to talk to your coordinator, call this number. If you want to talk to your fire guy, call this number, whatever. They know how to do that, and it's full duplex, which can all go through there. Hey, and we can also link in a repeater to that same network. They can call the repeater and talk to the whole area. So there's some possible use cases there. Some questions come up too, like, is that legal if you hand them a desk phone and they're not licensed? Yeah, if you've got an operator who's watching to make sure. So yeah. Kim's really thinking now. I think we are. Yeah.
Because the thing is, the transmitter would be the repeater, which is licensed through the call sign of the repeater. So in one way, it would be just like a technician talking into a crossband repeater that's outputting on 10-meter FM. Not everybody may understand that, but anybody, as long as the repeater call sign is licensed for 10-meter FM, you can talk into it and out because your RF is not out of band for you.
No, I don't want to do that. All right, we are definitely over time, but hopefully that was a little insightful. and you know that it's out there. And thank you very much.
One of the things that was so nice about this setup, when we were working on our RF links, we had to get the volume levels and everything up. We put the Allstar node into Parrot so we could call in, it would record our message and then transmit it back out so we could actually set our volume levels real easy. Because if anybody has played with a repeater, trying to get all your volume levels set correctly can be a royal pain in the behind, because you got to be far enough away from the repeater that it's not desensing your radio you're using to talk to the repeater, but somebody has to be there to hear the audio levels. So we just had it set up in Parrot mode, and it made things so nice. We did an Allstar link between the storehouse and Hat Butte. On our RF Arden link, it had quite a bit of latency. We did a tunnel because we knew we had not a good connection. We need some more backbone connections. We did a tunnel so it was actually going through the internet, and it worked perfect. So our goal is on this repeater system is to have RF links and Allstar links, so we've always got a backup in case something happens. But thank you, John. Amazing what this technology can do. Thank you, everybody. Any other questions? Give him another round.